Hello and welcome to your first success session in your first year, now second semester of the Blue Water Middle College. I have re-recorded this, so if you were at the live Zoom option for this, you know that we had some technical difficulties. I had some technical difficulties, and my internet kept going out and kicking me out. So the recording was a little bit cut up. So I decided just to kind of re-record this and make sure that I get all the information to you. So whether you're watching this recording because you weren't able to make it to either live session, or if you were at the live in-person session or at the live Zoom and just using this to kind of refresh on things, this should be a little bit better than the mess that I had in the live Zoom. So again, I'm Ms. Weimer. I'm Tracy Weimer. I'm the college and career advisor at the Blue Water Middle College. So I'm the one that's going to be bugging you through these 3 years to be thinking about how your things are going at the college at SC4 right now as you're taking your classes and your progress towards that associate degree. And then I'll be bugging you a lot to think about what you might want to do for a career, and then knowing what that means for what kind of education you need to get and what your next steps would be after the Blue Water Middle College. So today is kind of just a continuation of that conversation that we already started when we first met with you in the spring or winter of your 10th grade year and talked about what your plans or goals were if you had those, and kind of talked about how all this would work. And then at orientation, we give you kind of what you need to know to get started in that first semester. And then we are with you every or throughout the first semester in seminar, where we see you pretty regularly and kind of teach you the basics to get started. So these success sessions continue the entire rest of your time with Blue Water Middle College. They're usually just once a semester. There's a couple semesters where you have two. This is one of those, because this first one we want to talk about reflecting on your first semester, and we talk about the SAT prep. And then later on in the semester in April, when we're getting ready to register for next fall, we'll have another meeting where we'll kind of refresh your memory on how to do that, making sure that you're planning your degree and thinking forward on what you might need as you are registering each semester for the semester's classes. So just that, I'm going to hide myself here so that I'm not in the background of this presentation, and you'll just kind of hear my voice as I go through what we talked about. So always with the success session, we start with news and updates. And then today, the big thing that I want to get across is just helping you to reflect. We have a form that we're going to have you fill out. We're just asking you to kind of reflect honestly and tell us kind of how it went, things you tried, giving you some ideas for things you might try. And then with the goal of reflecting and learning from how the first semester went and continuously improving ourselves every semester. And then the other big section, I'm actually going to make a separate recording to show you the SAT prep resources that are available online, and to kind of talk about why you should take that preparation seriously, and kind of what the benefits of that would be for you. So this first video is just going to be kind of about the reflection piece. One of the updates is that we are starting enrollment for the next group of students. So where you were a year ago was that your family, you might have gone to that overview meeting at your high school where Mr. Ruiz talked about how this would all work, and you had your individual meeting with one of us on staff and kind of started that ball rolling. So you may have friends, family, classmates, teammates that are in that process, people that are in their sophomore year right now and thinking about whether they should do Blue Water Middle College or not, and kind of measuring that or comparing that against all the options that are available. And we have this listed here to be a positive representative, but in my opinion, be an honest representative. I can't say that word, representative of the Blue Water Middle College. It's okay to tell those people, hey, it's harder than I thought it was going to be, or it's easier than I thought it was going to be. I've had a hard time balancing my schedule with work and sports, or or that's not really been very bad so far. So being honest with people that ask you or that like, hey, are you in the middle college? Um, is all that we ask of you. And if you have friends or anybody say, hey, I'm interested, but I don't know where to start, you can direct them to me or any of us at the Blue Water Middle College. They can always go to bluewatermiddlecollege.org as well to get more information. Um, so for you in this current semester, the drop and add deadline has passed. So I know that you're all coming from this homeschool, well, the environment at your home high schools is that sometimes you can make changes to your schedule a little bit further into the semester than you are able to at the college level. So the drop and add period is the only time that you can make changes to your schedule. So if you meet an instructor that you're like, this guy's sense of humor is going to push my buttons, or I'm looking at the syllabus and this is going to be very difficult, or I've done the first homework assignment and it's really challenging. Um, Ideally, we are pointing you to introductory classes, so hopefully that isn't the case. But if you ever in any semester, that first week, that first class, read the syllabus right away, and any red flags that pop up, get in touch with us. And sometimes we might say, okay, yeah, that's something you'll be able to work through. Or sometimes we might say, if that's something that's really worrying you, then maybe you should change your schedule. But the only time you can do that is the first week of class. And that's not Monday to Monday, that ends the first Friday of the semester. So after that, no changes can be made. So no matter where you are with things, you're going to have to stick it out with the classes that you're in this semester. And that's where, again, we say over and over in orientation and seminar to let us know if you need help, ask questions, come and talk to us. If you've had a hard time with anything already or anything comes, we can help you get through that. But it's not okay to just say, well, I'm checking out of this class mentally, even though I know they're not going to let me withdraw right now. I'm not going to be able to do it. There is no reason that you can't pass a class at this point, even if you have done nothing, if you have all zeros for the first 3 weeks of the semester, it is still possible to salvage that, but you need to start now. You may not get an A, but you can definitely get a passing grade. You can get a C or better. There's still plenty of time to do that. So please reach out if you are having any challenges and we can help you with that. Um, Something that's already come up in these first few weeks of the semester are examples of times where there are days where the college is open and your high school is closed. So last week, the week that we had this success session, and originally Monday, a lot of people were off from their high schools for Martin Luther King Day. SC4 does not close that day. They stay open. They actually have an event in the evening to celebrate the occasion, but they still have classes that day. The next couple of days were those cold days where it's single digits, really low wind chills, and SC4 kind of approaches those as you're an adult, whether you're 15 or 20 or, an old person that's in college like me, they look at it like you're paying money to be here. We're going to have those classes. You're not paying, we're paying for you, but they look at it like people are paying to be in these classes. We're going to hold them. Put on a hat, put on gloves, run across campus. It's a pretty small campus to be walking around. So they very, very rarely close for those cold days. And then Thursday was another example where a lot of the schools were closed because there was snow that was kind of badly timed, where it's a little bit trickier for a bus getting around dirt roads and everything's very icy, where they look at it like, everyone has to kind of make their decisions, drive carefully, but unfortunately, you will learn as you graduate and get into the real world and the working world that even when there's a ton of snow, you still have to show up to work. So that's kind of how SC4 approaches it. Um, Typically, though, in the past, when roads have been really, really bad, where we're getting like several, like 5, 6 more than that inches of snow, they usually will close. But in that case, things were a little slippery, but it was passable. People could get around. So They look at it like take your time, but you still should come to class. And most of the time when they do that, the buses being out when, in the dark at 6, 7 a.m. is a different story than like most of the time. Most people aren't coming to the college until the afternoon, and then the roads were completely clear at that point. And then the same thing goes for you might be sick. All of this is different than the high school. If you're sick, your parents can't just call and excuse you for the day. You have to contact your instructor. You still have to do the work that you missed. They don't always have to let you make up work. Most of the time, they will be understanding if you're sick. They'll tell you, get the notes from a classmate and I'll give you the thing that we did, or that's on Canvas. You should still submit that. They may not extend deadlines, but if you reach out and communicate well, and it's not kind of an ongoing, you're sick every other day sort of a situation, usually they'll be pretty understanding and work with you. Um, but things do go on. It's not like high school where you can go up to the teacher and say, what did I miss? They're going to expect you to have done a little bit of that digging yourself. And usually you can find that information in the syllabus or on your Canvas or ask a classmate at the next day when you go to class. So that's just something to think about there. Even sometimes when the college is closed for a snow day, if you have an online class and stuff is due on Canvas, those things are still due because they look at it like it's still there. You're at home, whether we're here or not on campus. So they will still expect you to do that and meet those deadlines. So just stuff to think about for those type of situations. There are other cases, particularly in the winter semester, that you're affected where the college is open when your high school is closed. So SC4 does not have midwinter break. That's that long weekend that you get in February. I think it's February 14th and 18th where you're off for a Monday and Friday, or a Friday and a Monday. The Friday won't usually affect anybody. There are very few Friday classes. But if you have a Monday class, you are expected to be there. So even though you're off from midwinter break from the high school, you still have to go to that college class. SC4 spring break is a different week from your high schools, and that's the same situation. SC4 would be closed for spring break March 10th through 14th, but you still have to go to high school. And then when your high school spring break happens, March 24th through 28th, you still have to go to college. So we have had many families or people through the year still take trips or still go on spring breaks or vacations. If you have a say, if there is a way for you to work around it, I would recommend taking that trip during the SC4 spring break. Again, because your high school will be more understanding and let you make up work when your parents excuse you. But if you do have to miss and you're going to be gone for high school spring break, you will just need to communicate with your instructor. We can help you kind of talk through how to approach them and what to say. You're not going to go and say, I'm in high school, I'm going on spring break. So what am I going to miss? Like, obviously, you're going to be like, I can do the work early, whatever it would take. I'm really, really sorry that I'm going to miss a whole week of class. I'm going on, my parents had planned this vacation. They're not going to let me stay home alone. I don't have an option. I have to go. But I am worried about what I'm going to miss and I want to make sure that I make it up. So being proactive with that, you can start reaching out about that now. And I've heard already some instructors are saying, no biggie, there's a test that week. You can do it before you go. They are somewhat aware of when those breaks are. Most of the instructors do try to plan around that for big deadlines or big tests, but it may happen that there's a test that week. So we can help you figure that out. Another thing just to think about is that it's not too soon to start talking to SC4 advisors or me in particular at the Blue Water Middle College, especially if you know what you want to do for a career and where you want to transfer to after SC4. So we can start that planning now. I always kind of frame it that during seminar, we taught you how to make your plan. We continue to teach you how to make your plan in these success sessions. You can meet with me and you and I can make your plan together. But SC4 advisors are who you're going to want to see to double check that plan. SC4 is who actually gives you your associate degree. So that's who you would want to double check to make sure that you and I haven't made a mistake or missed something. Um, that is your responsibility to double check that with the SC4 advisors. So we make your plan together, they double check it. Then if you really want to be proactive, you can have it triple checked by starting to reach out to advisors at the four-year schools that you're thinking of transferring to eventually. And that's something that I can help you find those people to connect with as well. Advisors at four-year schools used to, or just kind of the way it used to go, is that they wouldn't really meet with you until you have applied, been accepted, and committed to going there, sometimes not even until your orientation. But they're starting to change, or they've been changing this for years. Many schools are like, you can be in eighth grade and start reaching out to us and say, I'm thinking about coming to Oakland. I want to be an engineer. What things should I be taking at the high school? What things can I take at the community college that will transfer for my bachelor's degree? So all of those are things that SC4 advisors can help you with, and I can help you with. Um, if you haven't met with me, I would say start with me, and then you could then see an SC4 advisor later, but you are free, and it is totally fine to go directly to them as well. And all those things that we do together, the graduation, like the degree worksheets that we've given you, that worksheet that kind of maps out your 6 semesters or your 3 years that you're with Blue Water Middle College, where you kind of keep track of what classes you take when. You could bring all of that with you to that SC4 advising appointment, and they'll be like, oh, awesome, you're planned already. Everything that you have here is exactly what I would have recommended. You're great. Just keep following this and you'll be good. Um, or you can start from scratch with them too, so wherever you're at in that framework. Another option or just thing to think about is that any of you that are going to one of the partner high schools, the Port Huron, Northern, PH, Yale, Memphis, KPAC, Algonac, VLA, you are required to do Zello or career cruising. Those are kind of interchangeable, just different names for the same thing. And you're required to complete that and get to 100% complete every year, just as a requirement at your high school. So a lot of times people just check the boxes and do those tasks without really being very thoughtful about what they're doing. But what I recommend is really making the time. It might take you an extra 5 minutes to really be thoughtful and intentional when you're doing those tasks. Because that's actually the best place. That's kind of a one-stop shop for all of the information. So a lot of times people will be like, where's the best place that I can find, what education I need, what colleges have the major that I want, what should I be majoring in, depending on what I want to do for a career. Zello has all of that in one place. And there are some other websites I'll point you to through the years. But for right now, that's a good thing to start taking a little bit more seriously. And now that you are in college, so you need that information a little bit more than your classmates who still have another couple of years of high school before they're going to be into college classes. Okay, so the other piece that's kind of the updates and reminders, the big thing that we really want you to do right now is to reflect on how this first semester went. So whether that's I got a great grade, got an A, it wasn't as hard as I thought, it went awesome, on down to it went really badly. I really, really struggled. I ended up failing or having to withdraw, and kind of thinking about what resources did you try? What things did you try? What did you learn in seminar that maybe you might want to incorporate in the future to improve how you did? So this reflection, this web address, tinyurl.com/fall24 reflect. When you type that into an address bar, it will bring you to the Google form that we want you to fill out. And so I had a couple of people say, well, I already did this. We've done this already. You are going to be doing a lot of Google Forms with us over these next 2.5 years that you're still with us. Pretty much once a semester, at least, we're going to ask you, how are things going? What are you thinking about doing for a career? Have you done this? Have you done that? And so this is just the newest one that we are asking you. So this is what that Google form looks like. You would enter all of your information. It's asking you, like, how did you feel about it? How did it go? Did you enjoy it? What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? and then asking you what kind of support that you may or may not have used. And it is okay. We want you to be honest here. If it's no, I didn't use any support. Maybe you needed it, maybe you didn't. Whatever the case, we're not judging. It's just we just want to know what you're starting to use. I would encourage you, though, when you're reading through this, to think about these strategies. These are things that we talked about in seminar, and this is another way to just kind of remind you to start utilizing these strategies. And again, any of us would be happy to refresh your memory on this stuff or to sit and talk with you about like this particular class that I'm in right now. I need to memorize a whole bunch of stuff. What should I do? Or whatever the case, we can help you figure out what are some good tools you can try in general, but also specifically for the classes that you're taking right now. So this is pretty easy. You're just going to click that, submit it. Those of you that were not at one of the live sessions, this is your homework, but also even if you were at a live session, this is required. So this is required for all of you to complete, and I'll be hounding you if you don't. So whether you were present for those meetings or not, you just need to fill that out. And another piece of it was we're giving you kind of this overall information of how things went, like the actual data. I don't know if this is interesting to you. I just want to point out the biggest percentage of grades earned were straight up A's. So that's an amazing thing. And 80%, and this is for all middle college, 80% of the classes taken were passed with a C or better. So those are transferable credits. A D minus or better, 86% of the classes were passing. A D minus or higher is you passed it. You got the credit. It may or may not transfer. Like if you have a C minus to a D minus, it might not transfer. It might not complete a degree requirement the way you need. Sometimes you might need to retake a class like that if you got one like a C minus or lower, but a D minus or higher is credit on your transcript. So sometimes you don't need to retake it. It's just keep the credit, keep it moving, and just keep trying to improve. So the numbers were fairly similar for those of you just here in your first year, although you were slightly higher percentage of classes passed. It's kind of crazy. It's the exact same percentage for classes that were transferable. But the main thing is the number of you that are getting A's or B's is awesome. Like that's an extremely great start. And you guys are matching, if not beating, the numbers of A's, B's, C's, or higher than kind of the overall Blue Water Middle College students. That's fairly normal. Pretty much every year that's the case. And not to take away from your accomplishment, but I think the older students would be like, well, yeah, it's pretty easy when you only have one college class and then seminar with, minimal expectations of workload were for you last semester. But the main thing is you killed it. Like your first semester, it really went well. Like that's something to be proud of, even if it was just the one class. But things will continue to get more challenging, of course, as you add more and more college classes. Eventually you will be eligible for possible honors. But both of these honors are based on having a certain number of credit hours for the semester or overall. So the SC4 President's List is like the Dean's List or honor roll. It's awarded every semester, and it's anybody that had 6 or more credit hours for the semester and got a 3.0 or higher. So most people only took one class and probably only had 3 or 4 credits. So you're not eligible usually for the first semester, but you would pretty much all be eligible the second semester. I think everyone has at least 6 credits. And then it's up to you to do the work for the GPA side of it. The Phi Theta Kappa honor is actually the college version of the National Honor Society. And you are eligible for this once you've completed 12 or more credits and have a cumulative GPA of a 3.0 or higher. So cumulative is like you're accumulating overall GPA. You would be invited to join either by email or a letter home. There is a cost to join that. I don't know exactly what that is. It changes every year. it's kind of a decent amount of money, but I think it's less than $100. And sometimes people are like, I just want to double check this isn't a scam, which is absolutely a good instinct to kind of get a red flag and ask somebody. But Phi Theta Kappa is a legitimate organization. There is a bunch of scholarship money tied to it. Pretty much every college has a Phi Theta Kappa scholarship that you would get just for being a member. And sometimes that can be thousands of dollars, 1,000 or more dollars. So if it's even $100 to join, knowing that you're going to get $1,000 scholarship when you eventually transfer onto a 4-year school, that's cost, that makes sense to me, but I know not everybody has that off the bat. If cost is what is stopping you from joining it, once you are eligible, please get in touch with us and we may be able to find a creative way to help you make that work. But that would probably be at the end of next fall semester is when you would get that invitation, because most of you will have about 6 to 7 or 8 credits after this year is over. Or sorry, you might have like probably 10 credits at the end of this year. So it would be another semester before you'd have that 12 credits. On the flip side, there is room for improvement. Overall, kind of every semester, about 5% of our grades are E's and about 5% are W's. So in a lot of times, like students have a whole semester of like multiple classes. So it's not 5% of students are usually affected by this. It's a smaller number in that case. And that's pretty standard. So overall, our E's were a little bit higher than normal this semester. And we're going to be working to figure out why that is. But in general, you guys as a smaller group, your E's were lower, but your withdrawals were higher. So at least you were being a little bit more proactive in asking for help and communicating with one of us and trying some things and having it just get to a place where it didn't work. E's are more concerning to me because did you know what that grade was, or was that a surprise, right? That's a big question that tells me a lot or can tell you a lot about where things are. Like knowing where you stand is a really big factor in being able to be successful. So in general, getting an E or having to withdraw and get a W reduce your chance of finishing your degree on time. And what that means is finishing your associate degree by the end of 13th year. So 1 E or W, sometimes even 2, we can still plan your degree out and plan the rest of your 3 years out so that you can still finish that degree on time, but it just eliminates the wiggle room that you have. One of the big things is that at a community college, most of the classes you're taking are introductory, and especially in this first year, these classes that you are taking should be introductory. We tell you, don't take English and math until you have a semester or 2 under your belt. Don't take a difficult science class. There are some exceptions to that. Some of you are working on nursing prerequisites where you're kind of pushed into taking more challenging classes pretty early into your time in college. If you don't feel ready for that, that's okay. But we just need to slow things down and get more introductory. But the main reason people fail or withdraw is that they haven't asked for help and they're not staying on top of things. And so ask for help. Again, we say that probably 20,000 times over the course of your 3 years with us and probably 20 times every time you see us. If your GPA does fall below a 2.0, so if this first semester you got anything lower than a C, then your GPA was below a 2.0 and you're placed on academic warning. You have that semester to improve that, get your GPA above the 2.0. If you do, you carry on, you're back to good standing. If you don't, you're suspended for the following semester. Right now, students that are on academic warning, if you don't get above a 2.0, the semester you would be suspended, the next semester is summer. You're not taking classes in the summer anyway. Sometimes people take that as like, well, I'm going to try my best, but I'm not going to stress too hard about it. Sure, but there's actually further consequences if you don't get off warning this semester. You'd be back on warning next fall. You wouldn't be able to register for winter semester next year until the end of fall semester. So that puts you at um, that puts you behind basically because things are going to fill up before the semester is over. And it just puts you behind as far as everything. You can't, if you don't get off warning in the fall, then you can't take classes in the winter semester. So the consequences kind of keep snowballing. So the best thing you can do is the first semester you're put on warning, work your butt off and get that fixed. Get yourself above the 2.0 so that you get yourself back to good standing. If you end up in academic warning, we require our students that are on warning to meet with Mr. Stewart regularly. And so that might be every week or every other week, depending on where your GPA is, how the grades went, what led to that, how often you're communicating with Mr. Stewart, how honest you're being with him about what happened. And that's, depends on the situation. But you have to be honest with him. I know it sounds scary that we're requiring you to meet with Mr. Stewart, but it's really, we are requiring it. It is a requirement. But it's because we want to help you. He is really good at helping people figure out, okay, what went wrong? And sometimes people are like, I don't even know. Like, I didn't know what was going on the whole time. Okay, let's figure out why. Were you spending enough time? Were you reading all the chapters? Were you talking to your instructor? Did you ever ask for help? All those things. He can help you figure out, okay, what was the issue? And then help you this semester work towards improving that, right? Avoiding those things that were pitfalls for you last semester. One of the biggest things, people that are on academic warning later find out, well, I was sick a few times. I missed classes. Did you talk to your instructor? No, I just missed or not asking for help. So make sure you are getting to class. I am at it's a balance here at the college level between saying, when you're sick, stay home so you're not getting everybody else sick, right? That's theoretically how we all feel. Sometimes a little bit of a cold, you might have to tough it out, even put a mask on. Missing a test would be a huge problem, right? Or missing a big assignment, and you don't want to have to worry, is your instructor going to be understanding and let you make it up later? So if it's something you can push through, sometimes it makes sense just to go to class. Especially if you're in a case where you're coming from behind and trying to catch up and raise your GPA. That being said, we don't want you to crush yourself. We don't want you to keep yourself sick and going to class and like super sick, super contagious, getting everyone else sick. So you have to use your best judgment. And sometimes you don't know that yet. Like you're young and still figuring that out. You can call or email one of us, tell us what's going on, and we can be like, you might want to fight through it and try to go. Or I'll be like, stay your butt home and get better. And that instructor is really nice. He will answer you and he'll work with you. So again, ask for help. So that's the warning. One thing to point out is that online classes, just being mindful about that. A lot of times people on academic warning, when I met with them in the past, took an online class, it went horribly. They struggled with Canvas. They never quite figured out how to submit their work or where to find what's being posted. And then they go ahead and register 2 new online classes for winter. To me, that makes absolutely no sense. I know that sometimes people are coming from farther away or you're scheduling around a lot of activities, but if college isn't the priority, maybe you need to shift that priority a little bit, right? Figure out some carpool situations. We can help you figure those things out. But if online classes are not working for you, really don't recommend continuing to take online courses. Figure out a way to get into an in-person class and come to Port Huron, come to campus and see if that helps. Other times though, people maybe struggled at the beginning and then came in to meet with us and we helped you see, okay, this is how your teacher has this structured. Click here. This is where she's always going to be posting the work. We can help you with that. But overall, online class grades are lower than the average. And people either do awesome or they do bad. So that's kind of the case with online. So again, if you're having trouble, ask for help. Don't let 3 weeks go by and you haven't submitted stuff because you don't know where to go in Canvas. We can do that over Zoom, where you don't even have to drive. You can share your screen and I say, oh, it looks like she's got everything in modules, or she's posting everything in announcements. Each instructor does it a little bit different. So some of them post things in weird ways. Also make sure that you're giving it enough time. So typically an in-person instructor is expecting you to do a certain number of hours per week of studying outside of class. So a 3-credit class means that you're basically in class 3 hours a week. They're going to expect you to do 2 hours per week outside of class. So if you're in a 3-credit class, they're thinking you're spending 6 hours a week on their class. And that's reading the chapters they assign. That's doing the homework assignment. That's reading everything that they post if it's kind of a in-person class, but everything's on Canvas. That is making your flashcards, studying your flashcards, rereading your notes, rereading the chapters, doing everything when you're studying for tests, doing papers, all that stuff. 6 hours a week, right? So if you're in 6 credit hours this semester, 2 3-credit classes, you should be spending 12 hours a week on all the stuff, homework and everything. If you're in an online class, you don't have your butt in a chair 3 hours a week or 4 hours a week for a 4-credit, right? So they're going to expect you to be spending basically 3 hours per week for each credit hour, because you need to spend a few hours just taking in the information, reading what they post, reading all the announcements, reading the prompts for the assignments, watching videos that might just be an hour-long lecture. I've had students say like, well, I don't have a time for that. I'm like, well, then you don't have time to be in college, right? You have to get the information somehow before you can say that you've mastered this topic or this content that you're learning, right? So making sure that you're setting up enough time per week. And it's online is nice because you have the flexibility, but you still have to do the time. So all this stuff, getting organized, communicating, all those I've talked about a million times. But the whole process of learning to succeed is a process. It's going to be times that feel very easy, and there's going to be times that feel really, really hard and rough and difficult. And part of college is learning to figure it out, being resourceful, being proactive, and pushing yourself, right? So those are things that you've probably started to feel like you have to learn in this first semester. And it's something that your instructors at the college level are going to expect from you, but it's something that's going to be an ongoing work in progress. And I have a master's degree and have been out of college for over 20 years. It's still a process, right? Like we're all still trying to figure it out. But college is where you kind of are pushed a little bit harder to make changes and learn how to learn, basically, right? So that is what we are here to help with. And that's what we're trying to, in seminar, in these success sessions, give you some tips and tricks to help you along the way. So that being said, just some important dates that you should get on your calendar or take a picture of this, save it somewhere. I'll print it if anybody wants a printed copy to throw on your bulletin board at home. These are the important dates through this semester. Just pointing out again, OSCE4 is open during the midwinter break at your high schools. Early alert grades will be posted February 24th. That's just your like progress report grade after your first 6 weeks of the semester. Spring breaks, 2 different weeks, as I've pointed out. Our next success session is in April. The in-person is Friday. The Zoom is Monday, similar to how we just did it. And those are meant to get you ready for fall registration, which opens a couple weeks later on April 21st. The last day to withdraw for the semester is April 25th. And then the finals week is the week of May 5th, the semester ends May 9th, and then grades are posted the following Monday, May 12th. So just to circle back to this last day to withdraw, I know I've had students already say, I'm not going to be able to do this class. I need to withdraw. As you can see, you have a little under 3 months before you would have to withdraw. We are never going to let somebody withdraw the first month of the semester. We want to see you giving it a try, doing the things that we know work, talking to your instructor, getting tutoring, asking for help, working with us, upping your game and the time you're putting in. A lot of times people are able to turn it around. Okay. So that deadline being way out there, you've got plenty of time to up your game, basically. But bookmark these dates. And then the success session, this is just kind of the details here. I wanted to give this encouraging little picture. As you can see, there's kind of a beach motif here because I am a summer beach person. I am not a winter person. And for me, I'm working towards the summer, right? So this is now, you only have 13 weeks left in the semester. It is an important semester. You're taking the SAT. That other video is going to touch on that. But keep pushing, keep asking for help. Pretty soon the semester will be over and campus will look like this. It'll be spring heading into summer. So ask us all for questions, and make sure that you go over and watch the other video that's going to be about the SAT, and the prep resources that are available. But thank you for your time.